Hello, everybody, and welcome to another horror ranking. As you probably know, I've ranked Scream, I ranked Saw. Now it's time to rank Child's Play, slash Chucky, which is a franchise that's been going longer than they have. And the only thing I'm not going to be ranking today is the TV series. One, because I haven't watched it yet. I am actually planning on watching it pretty much once this video ends. And because this is a movie ranking, and TV shows are a bit different than movies, so it's a little different to rank. Though I am very excited to watch it. Now, this is a very interesting franchise because other than one remake, it was all the movies were, including the TV series, were written slash co-written by one guy who basically created Child's Play, Don Mancini. And it's basically an evolution of his writing style for the ages. Pretty interesting when you look in behind the scenes detail. And other than that, the best thing about these movies is the animatronic puppeteering and how that's evolved over the 30 years. It is definitely a very interesting franchise to go through, and I actually recommend doing it. It is a little more. It's not the same thing over and over again, essentially. Even if you get the same killer doll in every movie. But yeah, they take interesting turns, and I think that's one of the reasons why this was a lot more bingeable for me to watch, and it's why I got it done faster than the other movies and the Scream movies, which kind of repeated themselves, or even the Saw movies, which are fun, but they also kind of repeat themselves. But yeah, I really enjoyed these movies, and well, let's rank them. Uh, we got the first one, which I think is actually one of the weaker movies of the franchise. I'm actually gonna give it a D tier, maybe. Let's see, what the hell did I rate it? Rate is. Let's see. I'll give it C actually. It's very clunky. A lot of it has to do with a lot of different rewrites because unlike the other movies, this one was pretty much had an idea by Don Mancini. I think that's how you say his name. I'm not good at names. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. Original idea. A lot of interesting ideas. A lot of those ideas were cut, but they were put in the next movie. And a lot of weird stuff. Like there's a lot of emphasis on voodoo, which just became a staple of the series, even if even if the creator thinks it's dumb. But it's kind of funny when your main elements of the movie, the person who created it doesn't even like. It wasn't his idea. But hey, they stick to it because the Chucky films, even though they slip a while, they keep their continuity, even if they change tone drastically, which is something you don't see a lot. But it's very interesting. This one's it's kind of goofy in a way. Like the woman his first kill, just a woman jumping off, throwing herself off the balcony, and him hiding on a pillar with a cop chases after him. Who I didn't even know, but the cops apparently is of the another Halloween. I'm kind of thinking it's a Halloween reference, not Halloween the movie, but Halloween the Okay, let me just say it. Was actually the voice of Jack Skellington, so that's a fun fact. There's another Halloween connection there. So yeah, that cop guy in Child's Play 1 is the talking voice of Jack Skellington, not the singing voice. That's Danny Elfman, not, which is kind of confusing since most of the movie he is singing. Anyway, I don't want to even talk about that. We're talking about Child's Play. The best thing about Child's Play 1 is the Chicago landscape of the 1980s. It's very a winter wonderland. And not bad child acting from, I'm not sure his name, but the kid actor who later on is not a kid anymore because this movie franchise has been going on for 30 years. A lot of kid acting can be bad. It's not the best, but but working in a horror movie element, it's not bad. And we got his mom are likable characters and all that. The problem is the suspense building isn't as great because you already know that doll is alive because they had to showcase him transferring his soul into the doll, and not some great acting, which is kind of odd since Brad Dourif, who sticks throughout the entire franchise, is actually a pretty good actor, an Oscar-nominated actor to be exact. But for some reason, he says, "Oh fuck, I'm dying." Like what performance is that? He has that great classic hairstyle of crazy hair. Anyway, Child's Play 1 is it's fine. I like the ending. Is these movies have really great endings, but the doll getting destroyed more and more, but still coming a lot back is pretty entertaining. It's not the fact that he's does that much damage because he is a doll. The fact that he's so you're just not indestructible. I have a communication problem. Can't you tell? Yeah, and that's one of the more interesting things about the character. It's actually a pretty good design where it's both It's both scary and cute, but also kind of cool at the same time. It's kind of a unique design, and they change it throughout the series to match the movies, I guess. Yeah, the first one's not bad. It has a lot of weaker, weird moments like that the voodoo guy, who I guess he learned voodoo from, but also has a voodoo doll of him that never comes back. Other than that, it's an okay movie, but it definitely has a lot to improve, and the pacing isn't the best, and some of the effects don't hold up. It's kind of obvious when they aren't using a animatronic and they're using a little person, and it doesn't really translate that well. And the go kart cameras, we'll call it, because he runs way too fast to be a normal doll running speed. Anyway, Child's Play 2 is the second movie, and has this great uh, cover there where he's chopping off the Jack in the Box. It basically improves on every element of the first movie, which is what do you want from a sequel, especially in the horror franchise, where sometimes the sequels aren't as good as the originals, and the originals are the only ones worth watching. Scream. Seriously, I don't even waste your time watching those sequels. The first one's pretty much the only one worthwhile, even if all of them are connected. But yeah, a lot of people agree that of the classic trilogy, there's like three sets, not including the remake of the Child's Play movies, the original trilogy, they also call it the family drama era, and I guess the Revenge of Chucky era of the two films. Well, right now we're in the original trilogy era of the films. But basically, it brings in, other than these first kill, which is, well, I don't know why every Chucky's first kills are stupid, but this one's even dumber because somehow, I guess, his soul getting transferred or him using electricity kills a guy and he has fake blood on it. And then the guy says, "Shut up your ass," really badly. He's like, "What should I do with this?" "Shove it up your ass." Why would he? Why does he say? Why does he say that? Ugh. But yeah, they restore the doll randomly, I guess, to see if it has malfunctions. It's kind of like, why would you waste all that time just restoring it to see if it malfunctions? Then I guess it kind of kills somebody and they shove it up their ass. Oh, yeah. Other than that, we got Andy returns, and he's actually better in this movie because he's a little older. He actually plays a kid who's gone through trauma pretty well. His mom doesn't return. They were going to have her return because, if you didn't know, the mom, the first movie, the actress who I don't remember her name, I'm not good with names, actually got married to the designer of Chucky, believe it or not, during the first movie. I did not know that. That's kind of interesting tidbit. It turns out that horror can bring people together. That happened in Carrie and Scream. A little behind the scene facts for you. Anyway, Child's Play 2 is basically about being an orphan, which I can't relate to, but I know a lot of people can. And that's a very interesting tidbit. You know, the kid's getting tormented by the doll again, and this time he goes to school and he ruins his report cards, which is hilarious. That teacher was a bitch, but at the same time, she's barely in the movie, and she gets killed by a ruler, death by ruler. The fact that the Chucky's quote-unquote time limit, which I don't know how his voodoo magic works. I guess he learns better voodoo magic later because he learns that he transfers his soul pretty easily later on. Well, that's spoilers. Oh yeah, spoilers. But yeah, instead of because he does have a quote-unquote time limit this time, whatever that means, and instead of actually getting him to transfer his soul into Andy, he decides I'm gonna go to this school and write "F you, bitch" on the homework. Come on, Chucky, come on. He's not the smartest in the movie. Also, he kills the other good guy doll named Tommy. And of course, he buries Tommy under the swing. But they're going to kick the dirt off from where they're swinging. There's a lot of stuff like that in the first three, where it's what the heck is going on? It's weird because he gets better at what he does, because he's a lot more the character Chucky's a lot more competent later on. Because early on, he's not very good. He just gets lucky. Also, the dad in Child's Play 2 is really weird. He gives all serial killer vibes. But the look of the film is much better as a different new director. Like I said, I don't remember the name. The first guy's name I remember because his name was Tom Holland. And I remember that because Tom Holland is also a name of the Spider-Man actor. But they're not related at all. Just coincidence. But either way, I know that Don Mancini, the creator of the Child's Play, did not get along with Tom Holland, who also rewrote a lot of the first movie. So he was never brought back. Of course, he gave his bless. He's the only one that actually of the original Child's Play membership people who gave their blessing on the remake, which we'll get to when we get to that. But Child's Play 2, the reason why it's so high is you probably already know. The ending in the toy store is just a classic. It's one of the great horror scene. They built this giant toy factory assembly line, and Chucky gets even more beat up than he does in the first movie, and that's just great. He doesn't care anymore at this point. He's not trying to transfer anyone's soul. He gets beat up by the machinery, and the way this film looks is probably one of its best elements too. I'm going into detail about these movies. Probably not surprising to anybody, but the worst film in the franchise. Well, maybe a surprise because I know there's one other film that's kind of divisive. Child's Play 3. Is Scholar growing up there. But is there anybody that really wanted to see a boot camp movie? Yeah, I didn't think so. It's not a great horror setting, and the characters aren't great. Oddly enough, it's an 8-year time jump, but at the same time, it only came out 1 year after Child's Play 2, which is really odd. It's a very odd decision to make. So they had to recast Andy. The guy who they recasted isn't bad, but it's just like, it's such an odd decision. Usually the time jumps happen when, the movies take place in that certain times. Like, I'm not a big fan of instant time jumps. Like, time jumps only really work for me. I think this is not just me thing, but a lot of people, if it actually correlates with actual time. I don't think that's such a hard thing to say, but we could like seeing the actor return to play the same character and such stuff like that. It's also like, when you do a time like that, you have to predict what the future is going to be like, and a lot of times that can it cannot work out in your favor. I know this is a weird example, but maybe not. But Parks and Recs last season did a weird time jump, and now that's the past, and they predicted a lot of weird stuff. Maybe Parks and Rec is not that weird of a reference because that one of the actors from that show is in the remake. So hey, but yeah, Chucky is one at his worst here because he's so dumb. He thinks he can transfer his soul. I guess he can, but here there's no reason for him to think that way. I guess he learns better voodoo later on, but still, he just wants to transfer his soul to this one kid, I guess. But he sucks. He gets makeup put on him for some reason. They're trying to look at his file, Andy's file, for some reason. I don't understand that scene. And he gets mad because he has makeup. There's a great scene that he scares a guy to death before he can actually kill him. That's a great scene. Other than that, he kills the guy who gives people haircuts because he has a weird hair fetish or something like that. There's a lame drill sergeant kid. Yeah, it's just a very boring and it's not even a good boot camp movie. And of course, it ends at a carnival, which is the only good part of the movie. I wonder why, because it's completely different from what we got to see. And then Chucky gets ripped to pieces, cut and a bunch of pieces. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's just easily like I don't know what I do know who to blame. It's the same guy who wrote all these movies. Don Mancini. What are you thinking, dude? How do you write stuff like A Cult of Chucky, but Child's Play 3? Like, what the heck happened there? Or Child's Play 2, for that matter, in this case. Actually, yeah, he does take the responsibility because it was a rush job. It came out less than a year. They didn't have a lot of time to work on it. I'll give it a pass. He did bring us Bride of Chucky, which is the next film. And that movie is going up, up, up. Oh my goodness, what's that? S tier? Bride of Chucky reinvented the franchise after an 8-year hiatus, 7-year hiatus. So actually 8 years after the second movie, oddly enough. And brings us another doll. The Tiffany, who would become a mainstay and a very popular character. I mean, so that really tells you how good Bride of Chucky is. Loosely based off the Bride of Frankenstein movie, which gets a little play through in the movie because Universal owns the movies. Also, I gotta say, this will have to be important later, but MGM did the first movie, kind of, or another studio that later got bought out by MGM, who had no interest in doing Chucky movies. So every other movie later was made by Universal, but MGM still owns the rights to the first movie. But every other part of Chucky, including the look, is I think, and all that other stuff is Universal. If that makes any sense. So yeah, we got two different studios, technically speaking. Very odd. But yeah, anyway, Bride of Chucky, we get a new look for Chucky. I think is his most definitive look. It kind of reflects his personality better. But if he wants to be stealthy, the other version is better. It's definitely not as scary as the other one because it looks more. It looks more like, oh yeah, I'm an edge lord more than a, because the cutesy doll becoming evil is more interesting than obviously being an evil doll from the get go. But at the same time, it's a fun plot where we get to get more backstory on Charles Lee Ray, which is his name, but we all call him Chucky because that's what he goes by, and his old girlfriend, who of course he transfers into the soul of a doll just to fuck with her because she was fucking with him. And yeah, they have a very interesting relationship. They have an on off again relationship. I mean, that's what happens. You're both you and your spouse are psychopaths, and they have to get these Romeo and Juliet style couple to get them back to this gravesite so they can get some amulet. It's it's kind of complicated, but there's a lot of good humor and some good kill horror elements. It mixes it very well. It might not be the best one, but it's the most entertaining one. It has good pacing, good directing, and it does the Scream effect because this came out like a few years after Scream, and that affected the horror genre very much. So it's subversive, but in a good way. It's definitely an improvement on Child's Play 3. And then we get kind of an infamous movie, the sequel to Bride of Chucky. Well, all these are sequels. Is Seed of Chucky, which is a movie that I remember watching and liking when I was a teen. And now that I'm not a teenager, I'm like, this movie isn't very good. It's not terrible. We're going to give it. Where are we going to put this movie? I put it over the original. It has some great puppet work. Like the fact that there's 3 puppets all at once throughout most of the movie is pretty good. But it's not a horror movie, oddly enough. There is kills, but it's mostly a comedy, which is fun. There's been a lot of comedy so far, but it doesn't really work that much on the rewatch. There's some good jokes, but there's a lot of bad ones, like violins. That's a terrible joke. You get it? And the fact they're made in Japan now, which would be funny if we didn't see that Chucky was made in a factory in Chicago, so where the hell did that made in Japan thing come from? It's kind of confusing, and it's kind of like it's built into his DNA, which doesn't make any sense. But, oh well, I guess it's funny. I was like, did you forget your own continuity? This is the first movie to be directed by Don Mancini, as well as written by him, so he had full creative control. And we introduced a new character named Glenn, who is the seed of Chucky and Tiffany, who doesn't know if he's a boy or a girl. Well, technically he has schizophrenia because he has both personalities are different. Glenn and Glenda. Nice reference to the Ed Wood movie Glenn or Glenda. That's not a terrible message, but it's not really focused on. And most of the movie is them trying to get the body of Jennifer Tilly, which is really weird and meta. Like, get it? Yeah, I get it. They really phoned that in, and just not that interesting. The set looks like crap because of course, all these sets pretty much have to be built up because they're using puppets that kind of have to have a set in order for the animatronics to work. You can't just put them anywhere. Because of that, all the shots are kind of like flat in order for get all 3 of them to work. Same time, it has some good elements, but it also has some pretty lame ones. It's the first one where, though it does have a good ending, Chucky, after, 5 movies, is like, I'm done trying to transfer my soul. I'm going to be a doll. Ironically, in the next couple movies, is when he doesn't even care that he's a doll anymore. Is when he successfully transfers his soul. I cannot believe that. I can't believe it. Anyway, other than that little tidbit, but he gets killed by his son, and they actually are successful. Like I said, it doesn't matter because you don't really care about Jennifer Tilly, the character, not the actor who's also playing the character of the same name. Like I said, it's really confusing. It was based off of Wes Craven's New Nightmare, but at the same time, it doesn't really work that well because it's meta, but not in a funny way. Also, Redman, I think his name is some rapper from the early 2000s. I don't know. He sucks. They wanted Quentin Tarantino for the role originally. That would have been great. Redman, he's not. He's a rapper. What is he? He doesn't direct. He's also can't act, and he dies, I guess. It just doesn't work that well as a sequel. Not that I hate it. It has some good moments, and I like some of the stuff it adds to the franchise, like the character of Glenn/Glenda, who I think is interesting, but not that great of a character. He doesn't reappear in any of their movies until the TV show, I believe. But yeah, other than that, Seed Chucky is an okay movie. The series put on hiatus because Seed Chucky did not do well at the box office, probably because it was just too weird. And like I said, it's not really a horror movie. It's kind of hard to market. And the next two films, I guess the new Curse of Chucky reinvented the franchise, and believe it or not, the same writer and director. Well, they all have the same writer, but the same director. And the shots are way better. Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky. Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky are very similar, and they're actually going to be ranked right next to each other. But we'll talk about Curse of Chucky next. And we go from a C tier movie all the way back up to S, because Curse of Chucky is awesome. Yeah. Basically, getting rid of like most of your budget and just filming in this unique set makes the movie really great. It goes back to the original Child's Play formula of having a kind of a secret doll, but the kind of the twist is that this isn't a reboot. It's still the same doll. He still has his scars. They're just hiding. And another twist is that I actually knew this family before I was a doll. And they de-aged him with his crazy hair still. Some people don't like that. That before he became a doll, he was a simp. But, oh well. Plus, he already had a girlfriend at that point, right? I guess we're forgetting about that. Well, you're not forgetting about that, because Tiffany's in the end of the movie. Don't forget that. And we get two little reveals at the end of the movie that connects them to the other movies, which is pretty great. But it's basically just Chucky going around killing this family and manipulating a little girl, and the only person who can stop him is someone in a wheelchair who was definitely paralyzed by him before she was born, because he's an asshole. And yeah, she's a great character, and she's played by, what is her name? I don't know her first name. I know her last name because she is the daughter of Chucky's voice actor, Brad Dourif. So there's a fun fact. And she does a pretty great job. And she would become the main character of the next film as well. So we got a little continuity there. But yeah, the setting's great. The shots are great. Chucky's at his finest. He's not just a dope. He actually does do a lot of damage. And he kind of wins in the end. She gets blamed for all the deaths in the house, basically. And Chucky gets to go free and go back to Tiffany, who's been working with him again. I guess they forgave each other after seeing Chucky. They are on and off again. And he sends himself back to Andy, who shoots him in the face. That's kind of a great way to end the movie. And yeah, that's Curse of Chucky. It is quite entertaining. Also, he learns to transfer his doll into a girl, but he also is, trying to kill Andy again. Anyway, yeah, Andy comes back, but he's old now, and he's played by his original actor. Cult of Chucky takes place after Curse, and it is one step ahead, because what's better than one Chucky? How about three? There's three, actually, no, not three, four Chuckies, technically speaking. Yeah, so the Chucky that we've been following since Child's Play 3, technically speaking, I guess, because that's when he was reborn, and then he got stitched back up after he got shredded, and stuff like that. His head's decapitated now, basically. But he's still around, just getting tortured by Andy, which is kind of funny to see. Cult of Chucky is a great. It's also kind of a reference to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is the first appearance of the guy voice actor of Chucky. So there you go. It all comes full circle. It's like poetry; they rhyme. So it's basically about a bunch of people in a mental hospital who have unique mental disabilities. So of course, no one will believe them if they say there's a killer doll coming after them. And they react very uniquely to each of the situations. And the set is very unique and kind of oddly beautiful in a way, but scaredly beautiful. I don't like hospitals, let alone mental hospitals. So it's very unsettling for me. Especially in a place where it's even more trapping than a haunted house, per se. Like a creepy old manor. And it's great. And of course, the twist is there's more than one Chucky's. Yeah, he learned how to transfer his soul multiple times. He did that to the girl in the end of the Curse of Chucky, and how he's in multiple bodies. And of course, to add insult to injury, our main girl gets a hit. She gets her soul trapped by Chucky too. So yeah, she basically transforms into Chucky, which is kind of interesting. Basically, since like I said, she is the daughter of the voice actor of Chucky, so basically she's just pretending to be her dad, which is kind of funny. And of course, we get revealed at the very end that that Tiffany also did the same thing. She also transferred her soul back into the doll, as well as her human body. So yeah, there's a bunch of Chuckies running around now. Unfortunately, one of them dies with the buzz cut. I like the way he looked. He was ready to kill. Also, Andy's in the movie. He doesn't really get that much to do. He's in part of the movie. He's interesting for what's there, but it's not fully developed. And of course, the movie is great, but it ends on a cliffhanger, which will be entered in, I guess, the Chucky series, which I guess more of you guys have probably seen. Don't put any spoilers for that show. I haven't seen it yet, and I'm planning on watching it after this. But yeah, Cult of Chucky is great. I really wish they did. There's more franchises that do similar things. I think Cult, it's not really a full-on cult, but the idea of a cult movie, I thought Scream should have done that with one of its sequels, because that way the Ghostface Killer works. Like, there should be more than one person forming kind of like cult around it. I don't know. That's just me. Anyway, we're talking about Chucky, and I actually think it's going to be very interesting to see how they take that aspect of multiple Chuckies, because I think it's a great idea. Anyway, we get on to the remake, Child's Play, which, like I said, has nothing to do with the other movies. Like I said, MGM owns the rights to the first movie. They thought, hey, let's remake the movie in 2019. So they made all the posters a parody of Toy Story 4, which is kind of funny, especially seeing as Toy Story 4 had a shit poster, and that movie is fucking garbage. I hate Toy Story 4 so much. They ruined the whole franchise. People act like that movie's good. Are you kidding me? Anyway, surprisingly, I thought this movie was going to be, not, I wasn't sure if it was going to be good or not, but I ironically thought it was actually a B-tier movie. I didn't think it was terrible. My biggest problem is that it's riding up the coattails of the rest of the franchise. It really would have been much better if it was its own thing. And there is some things, maybe I won't like as much on the rewatch, but my biggest problem is that I wish it was its own movie. There's been plenty of similar things, movies like Chucky, but differently. That Mithrigan thing, Megan, it has a similar premise, and that did pretty good for itself. And if only this movie did that, it would have probably had more lasting power, because I feel like this movie is going to, much like other horror remakes, it's going to get more and more forgotten. Because when they bring back the original characters, like they already did that with Chucky. His TV series brought him back and made him pretty popular again. So I don't see this movie doing that. If it was its own original thing, maybe it would have done better in the long-term run. But, alright, so already like the Toy Story 4 making fun of. Another thing I like is, it's kind of controversial to recast a character, and a lot of times they don't do it. Like, what do they recast for Freddy Krueger was terrible. Like, who is that guy? He sucked. Yeah. Robert Englund's Freddy Krueger. But, you know, Brad Dourif is pretty much Chucky, but hey, we're gonna get a replacement. Mark Hamill's a pretty good one. He's a pretty great voice actor, and most people know him as Luke Skywalker, but a lot of people also know him as Joker, and he does a pretty great job. It's one of the best parts. And so the doll doesn't even feel like a Chucky. The fact his name says, the fact the company's called, not the company, but the toy's called Buddy. I always associate names of Buddy over Chucky because it fits more, because it doesn't feel like Chucky, because it's not Chucky. Chucky's a serial killer from a doll. This is a AI going haywire, which is an interesting idea and has a lot of great concepts, but like I said, it's going on too much with the Child's Play thing. I like the doll being obsessive for its AI. Maybe I don't like this movie as much as I thought, thinking about it. I just saw this movie, so maybe that's why I'm going on like, huh? I'm trying to process it. Yeah, it has some weird castings. Like, Andy's in this version's older. It takes place in modern day. He has some crap friends. There's also a cop kind of subplot that doesn't really go much of anywhere. And his mom is played by Aubrey Plaza, who I guess definitely the right age, but she comes off as much younger. And she feels miscast, to be honest. Not that it's terrible, but Yeah, and everything else isn't that acting isn't that great, other than the doll who sings this really ridiculous song. I think the beginning part where he's actually bonding with the doll is pretty great, and of course later on when the doll comes psycho, it works. But it, like I said, it felt like it's just playing off the off. Even the he could have used that bear design for something. I don't know. This movie, maybe I don't like this as much as I thought. Well, I'm gonna keep it there because it's my initial thought of it. It's not bad, but man, didn't which was more of an original idea. Yeah, that's my ranking. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm wrong, or do you think I'm right? Either way, these are definitely fun movies to watch, and I don't know if they'll ever make more because that TV series seems like it's probably gonna keep on going, based off it where it's at. So, either way, what do you guys think? I don't think they'll ever give a sequel to the remake because very rarely happens in horror. It only happened once, from what I remembered, and it was only one movie. Either way, thank you for watching, and I'm not sure what if I'll be having another ranking, but if I do, I'll let you guys know. Thank you very much.